when you see something and you just feel uncomfortable, you feel unsettled, there's that place in your stomach where you go, sis, something's not quite right here. Can't put my finger on it, but maybe it's creepy Burger King dude. Might be the problem.
This is the Brett Mason Show. Hey, hey, hey! My name is Brett. This is my show. This is my show.
Hey, it's Brett Mason. Welcome into today's podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for sharing it on Facebook and Twitter. It means more than you know. Something new, you can download our app for Android now. It's available Google Play. If you got an Android phone, just search for the Brett Mason Show, BRETTMASON, Brett Mason Show. And, of course, that updates every day. When a new show, it just automatically updates on your phone, so that's kind of awesome. I got to tell you, the iPhone app will be available soon. Apple is a lot more stringent about approving their apps, so it takes a lot longer. The app is also allows you to listen to live shows if we do those, which we will from time to time. So that'll be kind of cool. And you can also subscribe to the podcast. That's another way to make sure you get updated. We would really appreciate that. Well, you don't have to think about it, and it just shows up, and it's daily entertainment. Well, most days it's entertaining. The podcast is available on iTunes, Stitcher. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can get us on TuneIn Radio. We should be available on iHeartRadio soon. Just search for the Brett Mason Show. All the options are located under the player. If you're on my website right now listening to this at brettmason.com, BRETT-Mason, MASON.com. If you look right up under this, you'll see the options. It's just an easy click. So just pick the one you like best or the two you like best and click them. If you're not on my webpage, head on over to brett-mason.com. You can click on any podcast page, and it'll have all those links for you. So today, I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about the Belmont Stakes that ran over the weekend. First Triple Crown winner in 37 years, American Pharoah. What a great story. If you're not a huge horse racing enthusiast, it may not mean much to you to know how docile and loving this horse is. But those horses that race, they're generally very aggressive. They're bred to be very aggressive. That makes them winners, obviously. It reminds me of the old story of the Black Stallion. That used to be one of my favorite stories when I was younger, to read the story of the Black Stallion. I mean, that horse was wild. Only one person could tame it. The horse could run like the wind. But American Pharoah, a very docile horse, very loving and likes to dote on people and be petted and just very peaceful. So I found that interesting, and I think it's one of the reasons people were so pulling for this horse, because just a gorgeous horse, by the way. And it had been 37 years since, of course, we'd had a Triple Crown winner. But the thing I want to really talk about was there may be a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes out from the race starting. And Bob Baffert, who is, if you follow horse racing at all, he's one of the big ones. He's one of the big trainers. And, he's in the hunt every year, the Triple Crown. Always has at least one or two, sometimes three horses in there that are just awesome, at least one. So they show him and his family in the grandstands ahead of the race. And over his shoulder, you got him and his wife. Over his shoulder behind him, you see the Burger King dude. Creepy Burger King dude's just standing there hanging out in there. And I know it's a box where the rich, connected types are sitting. So it's not mentioned. None of the announcers make reference to it. You just see they're on them for maybe 10 seconds. They're on them, they're shooting, and you see the Burger King in the background. And then it moves on, and they never mention it, they never say it, but it's pretty obvious. Like, he isn't up in the front of the picture, he isn't hogging it or anything. He's just, a couple, maybe a step behind them back there, just hanging out, looking at the camera. And the Burger King is creepy to me. If you remember when the very first Burger King commercials came out, and that featured the Burger King, this character, he was in bed with people, and that was a long time ago. It was probably 10 years ago. Or so. It's been a while since they've been using this guy, maybe a little less than 10 years. But he he was really creepy from the beginning, but the dude is still creepy. He's just creepy, but I guess this is the new Burger King campaign. They've decided we're going to try to squeeze this guy in virally and see how it works, because if you'll remember the fight of the century, Manny Pacquiao and oh crap, I can't think of the other guy's name. Anyway, the fight of the century that just happened, the Burger King was showing up in there. He was part of one of the entourage. And then during that, now the announcers did make reference to it. I remember one of the announcers going, "Well, hey, it's creepy Burger King guy." I don't want you to get me wrong, because I don't dislike Burger King. I'm not downing Burger King. As a matter of fact, as fast food restaurants go, and it may or may not have been clear if you've followed my page or followed my podcast much, I'm vegan. So I don't eat animal products. I don't eat meat, and I don't eat anything from animal, and that includes butter and dairy and cheese and stuff like that. I don't eat any of that. And that's really weird for me, coming from a person who used to eat fast food literally 2 to 3 times every day. That used to be me. So Burger King, I'm not dogging them, because they actually have. It is actually one of the few places you can go, and I can go and get an acceptable meal. Now, it's not a healthy meal, but it's acceptable. They actually have a veggie burger there, and it's pretty good if you haven't tried it. And it's inexpensive too. If you get their veggie burger meal, I think it's $5, maybe 5 and some change. But look, that's a far cry from the price of most combo meals. I mean, even your good old, what used to be $5 combo meals are $7 and $8, $9 now. But it's not completely vegan. I think it comes with mayonnaise on it, and it seems like it may come with cheese. I'm not sure, but you'd have to not have cheese, and you have to ask for it with no mayo to make it vegan. But if you're vegetarian, just as it is, it's vegetarian. Of course, fries are vegan. Well, let me say this. Burger King fries are. McDonald's fries still aren't vegan. They have beef stuff in their fries. But so I'm not dogging Burger King. I like Burger King. It's just I'm never going to like a creepy Burger King dude. He's very creepy and disconcerting in a way. Like, I feel, have you ever, I guess it's called intuition. When you see something and you just feel uncomfortable, you feel unsettled. There's that place in your stomach where you go, it's just something's not quite right here. Can't put my finger on it. But maybe it's creepy Burger King dude might be the problem. So, I definitely dig Burger King. I appreciate having vegetarian, vegan options there to eat. And even before that, I used to like their food. I mean, it's better than just plain old fried. It has a smoky flavor to it, like it's grilled. So, kudos, hats off to them. I'm just saying. This is the Brett Mason Show. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, let me take 20 seconds to tell you about the sponsor of the show, Toyota Dothan Rental Cars. Courtney and the folks over there are awesome. Of course, you rent in Toyota, so they're awesome. And you can get the Camry, you can get the Avalon, which is a really nice luxury ride. You can get a truck. They got the SUVs, all the Toyota. They're just nice. You're getting a good car, and you're going to get better rates and better deals, less fees, and more awesome people to deal with. You can go to the toyotadothan.com, toyotadothan.com, and look for the rental section. You can email Courtney. Her email address is courtney@toyotadothan.com. If you do that, say, hey, Brett Mason told me to ask you about renting me a car. That you're the one with the plan, and she will hook you up. Courtney's awesome. Toyota of Dothan Rental Cars at toyotadothan.com.
This is the Brett Mason Show. Hey, hey, hey.
All right, I want to talk about something that usually when these stories come out that are, I don't know if they enrage you, but they definitely make you go, A lot of times the headline is a lot more salacious and a lot more out there than the actual reality of the situation. So I'm trying to keep a open mind about this. These people getting arrested on the subway for what's called man-spreading. Now, it's not a surprise to anyone if you've seen the way women generally sit, and that's changed a lot. Women sit like men. Most women, not most women, but a lot of women sit just like men now. Women are wearing the jeans just like the men are. They'll sit with their legs spread open. I've seen it happen way too many times. It's something that appalls my mom, by the way. My mom thinks that's the least ladylike thing ever. But that's a different generation, and today's generation is just different. But men, because of our physical makeup and where things are placed and situated, we tend to like to have a little room down there. And I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't think that means that you're being impolite. I don't think that means that you're being unreasonable. I don't think that means that you are intentionally trying to offend other people. That's just a basic of the male anatomy, is we are designed to sit spread out for openness, for lots of reasons. So apparently, people are now getting arrested for riding the metro system, subway system in New York for man spreading. Now, they're not calling it that. They're not. When they arrest you or write you a ticket, it's not going to say man spreading on there. What they say is that it's illegal for you to take up more space than is allotted to you. So I guess what they're claiming is if you sit in that position, that while your butt may be in the seat, that your legs or knees may be lapping over to blocking the other seat or whatever. It's a $50 fine, and you can also have a summons to court over it, which I guess is if it can be escalated to that, I suppose, because apparently recently in the Brooklyn Criminal Court, there was the case of 2 Latino men who were arrested on the charge of manspreading, and the judge, I'll tell you, the judge conceded that that it was wrong to sit in a certain way, but she did note in her ruling the time of the arrest as being 12:11 a.m. That's just after midnight. And saying she couldn't believe that there were so many people on the subway that this would have been blocking people from sitting. And that's my thing. That's my thing about laws in general. I have a problem with speeding laws. I have a problem with running these stop and go where you bump up to a stop sign and then go, and then they write you a ticket for that. Because while a lot of things are technically wrong, if you just write everybody tickets for a lot of these things, you're completely violating the spirit of those ordinances. If it's 9 o'clock at night and I bump down to the end of my street down here where I live, it's very clear to the left and right. Like, you can see both ways without any problem. And there just ain't nothing coming. There's no reason for me to just come to a complete stop and sit there for a second or two and then go. There's just no reason for it. On the other hand, well, not even in the day it's not busy on my street, but let's just say for the sake of argument at noon that it might be busier. Maybe a little more precaution is necessary. But that doesn't matter. If I just slow down and bump that sign and then go, I can be issued a ticket. Same thing for speeding. Speeding doesn't take into account my ability as a human being to make good decisions. And a good decision might include going faster than some arbitrary numbers on a sign. And this happens all the time. All the time this happens. If you're going on Ross Clark Circle over here by 84, where Krispy Kreme, Burger King, and all that is heading out and you turn and head out to the hospital there. That's the busiest section of the circle. Well, I guess you could argue maybe going out to the pavilion up that area is now, but still this area is pretty bad. So either one of them, you just pick one. And we're there at noon on a Friday. And we bebop through there, and we're doing 60. That could be considered dangerous because there's a lot of traffic, and if you're going to do 60 at noon on a Friday over there on the circle, you're going to have to be doing some dodging and weaving. You're not prepared for sudden stops and all kind of issues that happen in traffic. you know what? Write those people tickets. But if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm the only person over there on that side of the circle, and I guess the cop who's on the other lane going the other way is the other person over there, and I'm doing 60 and he writes me a ticket, well, now you're just raising money for the city and the state. That's all you're doing. You're not protecting people. You're not making the world a safer place. You're not making the streets safer. You're not doing anything that law or that ordinance was intended to do. None of those things are you accomplishing. You're accomplishing one thing. You're wasting my time, and you're tax collecting is what you're doing. You've become a tax collector. Rather than a peace officer, rather than somebody who's there to uphold the peace, to protect and serve the public, you've now become a tax collector for the state. And I understand that you have to do that because that's how you get paid. Believe me, I understand. The city coffers and the state coffers have to be full for you to get paid. And I understand it. I would submit, though, that there's a conflict of interest there. When people in business do stuff like that, they get charged with things like racketeering and things like that. But it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Once a law or the purpose of the law is not effectual, then you're just doing it for the purposes of either A, harassing people, or B, you're a tax collector. You're raising taxes, you're collecting taxes, you're collecting revenue for the state, for the city. So, to me, this law is a lot like that, this manspreading. I'm not saying that there isn't a time or a place where manspreading might be a reasonably consider be reasonable to find somebody for that or arrest them or whatever. I have never ridden the subway in New York, so I don't know what time it's crowded, but I'm going to assume at 5 o'clock on Friday it's crowded on the subway. I'm just going to assume that. If you're sitting there with your legs spread out and your right leg is blocking the seat to your right and the left leg is blocking the seat to your left, and people want to sit down or need to sit down, you're a jerk. You're just a jerk, because even though it is the natural order of things for a man to spread because of things we've talked about already, the structure of the male anatomy, even though that's the natural way, you can go against nature for periods of time and you will not suffer any consequences. You're not going to be able to not walk one day, and you won't be able to not have children because of it. It's fine. Squeeze your legs together and take up less space and let people sit down, for the love of God. And if you're too rude to do that, you're too big of a jerk to do that, then maybe you deserve a ticket. While I would still say that I'm not sure that's criminal, it's amazing what they've made criminal nowadays. I don't know that rises to the level of being criminal, but you're a jerk, and if you get a ticket, I don't have any sympathy for you. But if you're bebopping up in there at 12:15 in the morning on a Tuesday, and there's just nobody in the subway except these two guys, and they're kicked back and they're all spread out and comfortable, and you're writing them tickets, well, you're the jerk then. You're the person that has become the jerk. The role of jerk has been switched. The role of jerk at 5 o'clock on Friday, who's the idiot sitting in the seat, has now been transferred. The jerkdom has been transferred over to you, my friend. The jerkdom now lies within you, the guy with the badge and the ticket book. Because there's no reason for it. It's just beyond the pale. And I feel that way about a lot of things. I feel that way about speeding tickets. Now look, let's go back to my scenario where it's, I forgot what time I said it was. It's at night though. It's 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, and I'm on the circle and there's no traffic. And it's just no traffic. It's not an issue. And I'm doing 80 or 90 or 100 on the circle. Then I have now passed into the point that I'm probably not being safe. Okay? Then we're back into the ticket area again. Because the speed limit on the circle, the whole way around, to my knowledge, unless there's some sections that are different, but I believe the speed limit on the circle all the way around is 50. You can do 50 all the way around. So if I'm doing 60, I'm just doing 10 miles an hour over. That's very dangerous at 3 or 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon. It's not dangerous at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It's not dangerous at all. 70, 80, 90, 100, we start getting back into you're being dangerous. Even though there's no traffic, that's just dangerous. It is a city after all. And it's just, there's no point in it. So now we're back into, we start writing tickets again. I think there's some room for common sense, and I've seen it. And I'm not saying that officers don't incorporate common sense a lot of the time. I'm sure they do. A lot of them do. I don't know. Some of them do. I don't know what the number is, but I'm sure there are those that do. But I'll give you a great example of this. I was a big opponent of the seatbelt law. Look, I'm not saying that seatbelts haven't been shown to be safer. I'm not saying that your chances of surviving a crash aren't better if you have a seatbelt on, because they probably are. I'm not saying that you aren't reducing your chances of injury by wearing a seatbelt, because you probably are. All I'm saying is that you, as a free human being on this planet, get to make decisions for yourself, whether they're wise or whether they're stupid. And I didn't like wearing seatbelts. When they passed the seatbelt law in Dothan, I was livid. It infringes on my ability as a human being to make decisions about my life. I'm not endangering you. There's nothing about me not wearing a seatbelt that endangers any other person in this world, in this universe, except for me. I'm all for you compelling me to make my passengers wear seatbelts. They should. Because now their life is in my hands, and I should be forced to require them to be as safe as possible. Children, absolutely, we got to seatbelt them in. The children don't know any better. They're not old enough to make decisions for themselves, and they're in my charge as the driver. So I need to make sure they're as safe as humanly possible. Me, on the other hand, it's none of your damn business if I don't care about getting hurt in a wreck. It's just none of your business. It ain't nothing to you. It ain't no skin off your nose. I am a person who retains all of my rights right up to the point that they impose on you. That is what God-given rights are. I reserve all rights. I know there's rights laid out in the Bill of Rights. I know the Constitution spells out certain rights. But those aren't every rights. Those are just ones that they chose to really point out. I reserve all rights. I reserve 100% of every right possible to me as a human being, given to me by my Creator, endowed to me. They're inalienable. The only time that I don't have rights is when they infringe on your rights. And that's the way our founders intended it. That is the very definition of freedom. I am free to do any frickin' thing I please at any time I please, as long as it does not infringe on your right. That's when my rights start becoming limited, is when they start infringing on your rights. Not on your opinions, not on what you think something ought to be, not on what you wish something was, not because it goes against something you read in a book somewhere, and when it actually, in reality, infringes on your rights, on your freedoms, on your liberties. That's when my freedoms and my liberties can then be restrained. I don't have the freedom to punch you, because I have then infringed on your freedom. I have then infringed on your right. Okay? But me not wearing a seatbelt doesn't infringe on any of your rights in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So, going back to my original point, when they first passed that seatbelt law in Dothan, over the course of 2 weeks, and it was $10 then, I don't know what it is now, but at that time it was $10. It didn't go, there was no points on your license, it didn't go against any of that, so you didn't have to worry about that. It was $10. Well, the day that law went into effect, I got stopped coming out of Sam's Club over there on the Circle, where that car wash place is. I came out of that road by whatever that chicken place. What is the chicken place there? Chick-fil-A. So I came out of there and I turned left on the Circle and I was going to my house and I got stopped. And I gave a speech. And look, in the course of 2 weeks, I got stopped 9 times. In 2 weeks, I got stopped 9 times for seatbelt. 9. In 14 days, 9 times. And every one of those times came with a speech. Every one of them. I informed the officers that it was unconstitutional. I asked them who was I harming. I asked them who was the injured party. If I've created some kind of if I have broken some kind of a law, then there must be an injured party somewhere. There must be a party who was denied, deprived, injured, something. That where is that person? And that person does not exist because it didn't happen. Of course, I still got the tickets. Some of the officers were nicer than others. Some were downright rude. Some of them were, I understand, but it's the law and we're writing the tickets. After the 9th ticket, it just became a hassle at that point. It was just $10, but now I'm in for $90. So at that point, I started wearing the seatbelt. Because it's a huge waste of time. Cops are stopping me left and right for no seatbelt. Like there's people robbing stores and selling crack and abusing kids, and all these things are going on in the city. But I somehow have now become priority number one because I ain't wearing a freaking seatbelt. I have now become public enemy number one. We should consume all of our days stopping Brett Mason on the road now. That's what our lives should be consumed with, is stopping him because he ain't got a seatbelt on. And that's where I think maybe some wisdom could be involved. The things these officers say were, well, I'm just doing my job. Well, your job still allows you to have a brain. Your job still allows you to make some judgment calls. Just when you signed up to be a cop, they didn't remove the whole part of your brain that allows you to reason things out. They didn't remove the part of your brain that allows you to understand fairness and understand risk, reward, to understand criminals versus people who are just, violating some statute, but they're not really bad people or really doing anything wrong or harming anyone. That wasn't removed from your brain, so it's not just your job. You're not just doing your job. You're out trying to do stuff because, I'll tell you why. Because sitting in your car makes you feel like you're not accomplishing anything, but really you could be. And I have some level of ability to talk about this because I worked in that for nearly 8 years. So it's not like I'm just some yahoo who don't know what I'm talking about. That 10 minutes you spent with me, you could have driven through 5 or 6 parking lots of businesses, which would have been a public presence, which could have warded off a potential robber. It would have been there's just a lot of things. You could have driven through a residential neighborhood. You could have driven down to the end of the cul-de-sac, turned around and came out, and you could have made your presence known. You might have spotted something that might actually have deprived somebody of their property or injured them, rather than me who was injuring nobody. But I digress. My point is these laws are ridiculous. This man-spreading law, I think just like any other law or statute, there's probably times when citing someone for it probably makes a lot of sense. But I think probably a lot of the times it's just stupid. I'd love to know what you think. You can comment. You can comment where you saw this posted. And I really appreciate your comments, and I appreciate you sharing the post. I really do. I want to thank you for listening to the podcast, sharing it on Facebook and Twitter. Hey, download the app. It's available now. The Android, Google Play Store. Just search for the Brett Mason Show, BRETT, Brett Mason Show. That way it's updated every day. You never miss a show. It'll update right on your phone. And, of course, you can subscribe to our podcast. That's easy to do. We're on iTunes now, Stitcher, YouTube, TuneIn, iHeart. All those options are on the website, on the webpage where you're probably listening to this right now. Just click the option that you like best. I appreciate you so much. Have a fantastic day. If you know somebody to be a great guest on the show, message me on Facebook. If you want to be a guest on the show, message me on Facebook.
This is the Brett Mason Show. Hey, hey, hey. My name is Brett. This is my show. This is my show. Hey, hey, hey.